Three men in Georgia have now been indicted on federal hate crime charges in the death of Ahmaud Arbery, the young black man who was out jogging last year when he was shot and killed. The Justice Department announcing these charges as it also looks into other high-profile cases surrounding race relations in this country. ABC's Rena Roy has the latest.
More than a year after his shooting death, the family of 25-year-old Ahmaud Arbery now closer to justice. Three Georgia men indicted on federal hate crime and attempted kidnapping charges. A grand jury finding they used force to intimidate and interfere with Arbery's right to use a public street because of his race. Federal officials saying Travis McMichael, his father Gregory, and William Bryan saw Arbery jogging last February, began to chase and yell at him, then blocked him in with their truck before the younger McMichael fired his gun, killing him. Attorneys for the men calling the decision disappointing, denying any wrongdoing. They've pleaded not guilty. The Biden administration's Justice Department actively investigating several high-profile race-related cases across the country, including the fatal police shooting of Andrew Brown Jr., killed last week during the execution of a warrant for felony drug charges.
My dad got executed just by trying to save his own life.
If any of my deputies broke any laws or violated any policies, they will be held accountable.
Following the guilty verdict in the Derek Chauvin murder trial, the entire Minneapolis Police Department as a whole under scrutiny. The DOJ looking to see if there's a pattern or practice of unconstitutional or unlawful policing.
Those investigations and the recommendations and actions that ensue do not only protect individuals' civil rights, they also assist police departments in developing measures to increase transparency and accountability.
And now to help us unpack the legal issues here, we bring in Channa Lloyd, a civil rights attorney with the Cochran firm. Channa, good to see you. These three men charged in Ahmaud Arbery's death were already facing state charges that include felony murder. So walk us through what's different about these new federal hate crimes that they're charged with.
Well, these federal hate crimes are allowed when you are specifically committing a crime against someone based on certain protected classes. Race would be one of them. So they feel that they have a very good case by saying the only reason that this act or crime was perpetrated was based on his race alone. Georgia did not have, one of three states that did not have a federal state hate crime, so they're able to bring it at the federal level.
So prosecutors need to prove a very specific kind of intent to convict someone for a hate crime, right? So let's talk about how difficult that can actually be.
Correct. You have to show that this act was perpetrated because of the person's race or other protected class. What they're going to look at are actions. They're going to look at what was said. It is said that there were racial slurs that were uttered that are heard on the video. That's going to be something that they'll look at. They'll look at group affiliations. If there's been any sort of disparaging marks, comments, or other affiliations with groups that have this type of hateful attitude towards a specific race in this case.
Do you think we'll see federal civil rights or hate crime charges against Derek Chauvin and the other three former officers in connection with George Floyd's murder?
That'll be an interesting one to see. I think that now that they were able to get this conviction, you're seeing additional charges. You're seeing these things being looked at, the pattern and practice of the police department, because they're recognizing that there were things about this that were probably racially motivated. And so you're going to see a lot more of these charges coming forth under this administration.
So, you know, we've talked about the fact that the Justice Department has announced investigations into the Minneapolis Police Department, also the Louisville Police Department. Police in those cities were involved, as we all know, in the deaths of George Floyd and Breonna Taylor. So what kind of potential civil rights issues do you think the DOJ would look for?
The DOJ is going to look very heavy into the pattern and practice of these police departments. They want to find out if it was a standard way of doing business in that particular police department, if it was done where it was racially motivated, did it disparagingly impact certain races or certain ethnic groups. They're going to be looking very heavily into training, into the culture of the police department. They'll talk to people in the community to see whether or not there was this type of pattern and practice that allowed for this type of behavior to happen repetitively, specifically targeted at people of a certain racial group.
So, Channa, as a civil rights attorney, I'm curious, have you seen a shift in the way this Justice Department handles race-related cases compared to how they were handled by the last administration?
Absolutely. We're seeing a lot more charges come out of the DOJ, even in the short time regarding these particular types of cases. They are becoming more active. We're seeing states that are now, Georgia specifically, that enacted a hate crime. People are becoming more, and the Justice Department is becoming more involved in these cases as they become more prevalent under this administration.
Channa Lloyd, I always appreciate the conversation. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Hi, everyone. George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking out the ABC News YouTube channel. If you'd like to get more videos, show highlights, and watch live event coverage, click on the right over here to subscribe to our channel. And don't forget to download the ABC News app for breaking news alerts. Thanks for watching.